There's a number you've made peace with. The one on your paycheck. The one in your bank account. You tell yourself it's the economy, your boss, bad timing. I'm gonna say something you already know and have spent years refusing to actually look at. That number isn't an accident. You built it.
If you landed on this video, you probably think that you're not getting paid what you're worth. And trust me, I've experienced the same exact thing, but you're wrong. You're getting paid exactly what you're worth through a system that is designed to cap you at a certain point. And guess what? You sit there and you keep clocking in anyway. And it's not necessarily a problem. The average person does that too. And it's not a money problem either. And it's not necessarily a true value-driven problem either. It's a self-concept problem, a self-worth problem, feeling like you're meant for more, but not actually following that with actions. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. It was never about the boss. It was never about the market that you're in, or it was never about the raise you were expecting to get. You stay because leaving whatever you're actually doing at the moment is taking a bet on yourself. And truthfully, look yourself in the mirror. You can't handle it. And quietly, you sit there not believing in the version of yourself that actually wins. So you stick with the cap. You stick with the security, the guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. Trust me, I was in the exact same situation. Honestly, it was worse. I was working at a restaurant and we were getting tip outs, getting paid daily, or you could call it nightly. That daily cash that hits your card when you're in the service industry, it feels like freedom, but it's the one thing that's keeping you from actually reaching freedom. But the price is every single day that you continue to re-sign that contract of clocking in, you will eventually pay a price of being comfortable, but you're not going to realize it for a long period of time. And that's the trap. While I was working at this restaurant, I was also building my Amazon store at the same exact time. While I was giving my business all my effort and all my time that I had outside of the job, when I spent my time at the job, I was giving my 110% effort. Closing shifts, covering for people, trying to impress the managers to somehow get into a better position at the job. But you know what 110% at that job got me? It got me a pat on the back every single night and then treated like shit the next day. Every single time. I was working hard, working under pressure, staying extremely stressed all the time because I knew that when I left my job, I still had 210% to go give to the business that I was building for myself. I was pouring most of my energy every single day into a machine that was not paying me what I thought I was worth. And bro, honestly, the rage of that, and it's not about the money. It's not about, how much necessarily I was actually getting paid. It was the humiliation almost. It was the fact that I was absolutely performing at my utmost ability and I was still getting paid the same amount as if I came in tomorrow and did all the work half-ass. So that also means all the other people that I'm working with are also working just as half-ass and making the same amount of money when I'm performing 2 or 3 or 4 times better than they are. But here's what took me longer to actually see from this process. That ceiling that I felt I was stuck under didn't start at this restaurant. My grandfather was one of 20. Slept 6 to a bed with probably 3 or 4 beds in the house. Dirt poor and one of nearly 20 kids. And yes, my family did start to slowly climb out of that race, but we still lived like poor people long after the money actually became fine. Flinching at every purchase, treating spending like it was some type of enemy, never really talking or speaking about money. It wasn't really a big conversation in my family. But when it was a conversation, it was always talking about some type of we need to save this, or we need to penny pinch that, or we need to save this. I didn't necessarily inherit the poverty because my family isn't in poverty anymore. I inherited the actual system, the software that they grew up in. And trust me, it kept running long after they started making actual good money for themselves. There's an old law that every single effect is going to have what? A cause. Nothing is random. Apply it in your own life and it stops being comforting. But that's because it means your results aren't luck. It's a true receipt that you can show. The stalled income, the store you never launched, the book you never read, or the championship you never won. That's not bad luck. It's an itemized sum of inputs that you have done over a period of a long time. You have to understand that everything that you do within a day's time will not only just reflect at some point, but it will reflect over the period of a long period of time because everything that you do on a daily basis compounds day by day by day. And the more consistent you get with that, the easier it starts to compound and get bigger and bigger and bigger. But you have to stay consistent on that. The 1 second that you take a step back and you decide to stop being consistent, let's say it's going to the gym, the 1 or 2 days that you skip is going to hurt you more than the rest of the days actually benefited you throughout the week. Everything that you are doing now is going to reflect what your life is looking like in 365 days from now. And that resets every 24 hours. So think about all the times that you made a promise to yourself and you didn't keep it. All the times that you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it. Those are all the inputs that have led up to you not being where you want to be. And that's why I come back to say you're wrong when you say you think you aren't getting paid what you're worth. But your worth is reflecting your actions on a consistent basis over a long period of time. All right, I had to stand up right quick because I don't know, briefly let you know, my shoulder giving me some problems right now. I've actually got a couple chiropractor appointments set up to fix it up. But anyways, when I sit down, it bothers me. What I need y'all to hear me on is what the gurus don't tell you out there. And I'm not saying that to say some type of punchline. I'm saying that to say a lot of y'all out here are way too gullible. It's fine to sell information and sell tactics and have mentorships and do all that. I believe in them. I respect them. I mentor my clients myself for the business model that I actually teach and help scale. But the main thing that I preach with my clients is the fact that you need to be able to execute. And before I ever even work with you, if you decide to work with me, is I'm going to make sure that you need to execute. And even if you don't work with me, that's where I'm getting to right here with this part of the video is you need to learn how to actually start taking action and execute. You don't need to keep watching new people do different business models or try something for 1 week and it not work and just move on to the next or go buy a different course than the one that you've already bought. A lot of this stuff works, guys. And more specifically, I'm saying a lot of it works when you actually put action and consistent action that actually compounds over time behind the proven models that are out there. And I always like to say your execution comes down to the way that you perceive things. The seller doing $30,000 and $40,000 a month doesn't agonize or whine about testing a product that might cost him $150, $250. They order it, they ship it in, they test it, even if it's not perfect. And sure, you could sit there and say that they're already doing this X amount on the business, so it's easy for them to do that. But don't forget, all these people you see doing these numbers had to start somewhere. Where did he start? He started by executing, by putting in action, by actually testing the first ever product that he ever tested, investing the money, risking the money. Not because they're braver than you, or they're more talented than you, or they're this special person. They just decided who they were going to be. I've coached over 150 clients by this point over the last 2 years, teaching people how to not only start their Amazon business, but how to actually execute behind scaling it as well. And truth be told, everybody at some point hits the same walls. It happens. But the ones who actually all break through from hitting the first couple walls or hitting those beginner mistakes and then getting to those 10, 20, 30, $40,000 months, not even to say a specific number, but to get to where they want to be, they got there behind actually deciding who they were going to operate as, instead of focusing on all the things that are going to actually put them in the mind frame of not taking action, not executing, and not actually taking that step forward that might actually change their life. It all comes back to your identity. Your identity isn't a substitute for the work, though. You still have to put in the work, but it's a separate thing. First, you have to lock down who you are going to become, and then you figure out how you're going to become that person. But before you can figure out how, you need to figure out and look yourself in the mirror and actually look yourself in the mirror and say, this is who I am going to be, and I'm going to operate as this person every single day. Not just do it for the next week and then quit. Not just do it for the next 2 weeks and quit. Because again, everything that you start doing today will reflect what your life looks like in 365 days from now. And don't forget, that resets every 24 hours. So tomorrow is going to reflect what your life will look like in 366 days from now. The next day will reflect what your life looks like from 367 days from now. And every single day that goes by, it compounds over and over and over again. And every single day that you miss sets you back on what your life will look like in a year from today's date. Now, something I want to point out right quick, if you're still here, I want you to actually just take a step back and notice something. You haven't clicked off the video yet. Something that I'm saying is resonating with you. And the reason that I'm saying that is because most of the people that were watching this video have clicked off by now. That means you're not just looking for comfort, or you're not looking to hear some motivating words from a video and then just do the same thing tomorrow. You're looking for something real, a true way out. So I will be the one to go ahead and hand you your permission, since you've been waiting for somebody to give you permission to take action over your life. You're allowed to want more for your life. You're allowed to spend more than $40. You're allowed to bet on the version of yourself that you've always envisioned and dreamed of in your head. You're allowed to do that. The problem is the system and everything else that is in this world nowadays is programming us to want to outvote that state of mind that we used to think in. Because when we're kids, that's when we find ourselves thinking about the biggest dreams and having the biggest aspirations. And as you get older, people tend to lose that. And why? Because they get caught more in that system, more in that programming. Now, something I haven't necessarily talked about yet is the fact that there is a strange mercy in all of this. The thing that made you feel poor, the thing that made you feel a little flinch when you spend some money, that capped paycheck, that feeling you get when you actually realize that you're actually capped. You have to take a step back and realize that that is all of your fuel. The wounds and the things that you have gone through over time, that's what actually empowers you. That's what funds the journey. You don't have to bury the wound. You just have to actually point it at some work, some action. When I get stressed, when I feel anxiety, or when I feel like something's not moving in the direction that I want it to be, instead of me continuing to sit in that feeling, sit in that emotion, I point my emotions towards something that I can then go and put action behind, put work behind, because that is going to lead you more toward your goals, put you more, or push your progress toward your goals more than sitting in the feeling, sitting in the emotion, and then feeling like it's the end of the world because of this temporary feeling that you have. So if you've watched this far, do something for me today. Just look yourself in the mirror, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, maybe close your eyes for 15 minutes beforehand, and just genuinely ask yourself what you want out of this life. And look, if it's, middle class salary and you just want to get to a point where you can kind of smooth sail and be competent in life, cool. That's fine. But sit in the mirror and ask yourself that, because I promise you, if you be truthful with yourself, you're going to want more. Everybody wants more, but not everybody can actually bring themselves to believe that they are worth actually achieving that more. Most people will complain about it. Oh, I don't get paid enough. Oh, I'm not, I don't get paid as much as I'm worth. But nobody goes put action behind making that value or making that worth stand out enough for them to achieve the things that they feel they are worth. Now, all in all, to end this off, I'm not going to keep you or hold you any longer, but you need to keep your faith in God. And I will simply only preach this based off of personal experiences, but when I first started making money, a lot of money from online, it was great, right? But that's what I was dreaming of. I dreamed of all the nice things, buying the watch, buying the car, going to all these nice places and traveling and doing all the things, and I thought that that was going to fulfill me. And yet, again, I got humbled and I realized that there is a hole that every man has that will not be able to be fulfilled unless you have that relationship with God. And as soon as I stepped back into really pursuing my relationship with God and being as close to Him as possible and actually doing and making decisions based off of the wisdom that I actually feel He is giving me, and that has changed the peace that I feel inside, the amount of work that I'm able to get done on a daily basis, the amount that I'm able to push myself, the mental strength to push through vices, or the mental strength to push through stresses and anxieties through business, the mental strength to wake up every single day and stick to my schedule as a businessman, because nobody's telling me that I have to do X, Y, and Z. I just have to do it, and I know that I have to do it. But for me to be able to sit here, be humble, and actually get shit done every single day, regardless of the money, I had to get close with God. And that's where I'll leave this on. And if you at all want me to show you exactly how I was able to get to where I'm at now and how my clients have got to a point where they've been able to do over $1.2 million online, go ahead and use the link in the bio. I have a free training. That's not really the point of this video, but I give everybody an opportunity to at least connect with me when I make videos. So that is your opportunity to connect with me. We can talk about it. We can make sure that, you're actually in the right headspace and you're in the right identity frame to know that the decisions that you're actually making are going to be consistent. They're going to be there. You're going to hustle. You're not coming into building a business thinking that you're going to make $1 million tomorrow, because we have to set the reality in before you can actually start stepping into seeing progress with the business itself. But outside of that, I will see all of you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.